What's a crack, everyone? Hope we're all keeping very well. So I'm currently on High Street, leaning on to Castle Place, just behind me in the centre of Belfast here. And I'm actually here to talk to you about a bit of a secret hidden history just behind me here. And if you would believe me, this spot in front of us is one of the main public execution spots in the city centre. And this is actually the spot where Henry Joy McCracken, one of the leaders, one of the founding members of the United Irishmen, was executed. If you haven't already, obviously follow us on Belfast on TikTok, Instagram, and make sure you give this video a like and a comment, and maybe a wee subscription if you can, because it really helps us out. The United Irishmen were formed in Belfast in 1791. They were actually formed just on a bar just off High Street down there, like a lot of other big groups would be formed in bars and different meeting spots like that. And they used to have a lot of their secret meetings down on Sugar House Entry, just down off High Street as well. And I'm going to take you to that a little bit later for another reason. But they famously carried out the 1798 rebellion, and this is sort of an all-Ireland rebellion. There's battles in like Wexford, Dublin, Antrim, Ballynahinch, Belfast, all over the place. And Henry Joy McCracken was appointed commander for the Battle of Antrim Town, which happened on the 7th of June 1798. Things were really kicking off in the 1798 rebellion. Obviously he helped plan a lot of other battles along with one of the other famous members, Theobald Wolfe Tone. The battle was a failure. After some fierce fighting, the United Irishmen eventually lost against the Crown forces and some of the local militia. Henry Joy McCracken and some of his other counterparts fled into the Belfast hills, and they stayed up there for a month until Mary McCracken, his beloved sister, then 28 years old, Henry Joy McCracken was 30, got him a ticket and some of his other compadres to go to the New World, to go over to the United States by a boat. So they came down from the hills and went towards Carrickfergus. They were actually then caught by two local yeomen and were arrested and placed into custody in Carrick jail. So on the 17th of July 1798, Henry Joy was brought at midday down to what is the assembly rooms down there. You can see it at the bottom there. I've covered that in a few videos in the past. And he was brought to trial. They call it a trial. It was a bit of a show trial, to be honest with you. It was only going to be a formality that he would be convicted for his part in the 1798 rebellion. But essentially, he was given the option to inform on the other commanders of the United Irishmen, and then he could go into exile. But Henry Joy bravely refused this and was then sentenced to be executed by being hanged by the neck till he was dead. He was then brought down to where he was being held previous to this, which is actually the artillery barracks, which I believe was at the bottom of Joy's entry at the Ann Street end. I'll walk down here now, okay, and show you, which is why this bar down here is called the Jailhouse Bar. There's a little image of Henry Joy McCracken right there. So he was brought down to the artillery barracks. He was held there, and then his execution was actually set for that day, so 5 hours later at 5 p.m, 17th of July 1798. On the 17th of July at 5 p.m, 5 hours after his trial, he was then brought down Ann Street and walked down Cornmarket here, hand in hand with his beloved sister Mary McCracken. She actually has a full recount of the experiences on the day, which I'll pop up on the screen for you now, and you can hopefully read that as I talk on here, okay? But he was brought down here, and the ironic thing about this was a bitter irony. Cornmarket and the land around the market hall were actually donated by Henry Joy's grandfather, Francis Joy, to the city of Belfast. He donated this land where his grandson was going to be executed on. They picked the spot for public executions because it was such a busy area. There was always hundreds of people about, and this was no different on the day of his execution. And they picked it because they wanted as many people as possible to see what would happen if you rebelled against the crown or carried out any other crimes. On the day, he was actually marched past here to the gallows, but looking up at the market hall, and I'll show you this picture as well, on the day of the execution, you can see 4 severed heads on pikes. And that was his 4 compatriots from the United Irishmen who were executed before him. They were also hanged, but their heads were decapitated after they died, and they were put on here just for a bit of a gruesome show to the public to again hit home the fact that this will happen to you if you rebel against the crown. Henry Joy was brought to the gallows. His sister had to vacate, and that was by order of the troops on the day. I think there was actually a legal order put in place that she couldn't watch it, so she had to be led away. Reluctantly, of course, she wanted to be with her brother till the end, but he didn't want that either. So he tried to say a few last words, but the crowd were so loud that they could not be heard. So we have no recollection of what his last words were. But he was then hanged to death, hanged by the neck until he died. And it took a few minutes for him to die, but he eventually did. His body was then taken from this spot and brought down to purportedly Sugar House Entry, just down the road there. So after Henry Joy was executed, he was purportedly brought down Sugar House Entry here. Okay, obviously didn't look like that back then. There was Peggy Bartley's famous tavern down the street, and a hotel, sort of an inn as well. And a lot of the United Irishmen meetings were actually held here, okay, to plan the 1798 rebellion, ironically. That was upstairs in a meeting spot they called the Muddlers Club, which is obviously the name of the restaurant around the corner. But they used to meet here, and his body was brought by McCracken purportedly to this place. There's other disputing sort of factors. If you want to put it in the comments below, that's fine, because we don't have the full details, but it was brought to a place near here at least, if not here, to try and get the body revived, because obviously at the time resuscitation methods were completely different. They didn't know if somebody was completely alive or dead, which is why they had things like bells on graves just in case you get buried alive at the time. But anyway, he was brought back here, but unfortunately they could not resuscitate him. Henry Joy McCracken was gone. That was pretty much the end of the United Irishmen rebellion. A lot of the other leaders did actually get away, but the two of the more prominent ones, like Henry Joy McCracken, Wolf Toad, met their demise. Wolf Toad in custody in Dublin. Yes, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Something that you may walk past 1,000 times in your lifetime in Belfast and not know what actually happened on the spot, like a lot of other places around the city. So this was the main execution spot, so probably I don't even know, hundreds possibly of people got executed on the spot. Apparently there was a secondary one outside the bank building stand there, Primark, just in case there was a surplus or something, I don't know. But anyway, the main execution spot within the city centre was right here, and this is where Henry Joy McCracken met his fate on the 17th of July 1798, and that was basically the end of the United Irishmen 1798 rebellion. Yes, thank you so much for watching. Really, if you can help us out here, give this video a like, a comment underneath if you enjoyed it, and obviously subscribe to our channel for more like this, because I'm trying to really grow this YouTube channel and it's very difficult to do, so any little help you can give us would be much appreciated. But yes, thank you for watching the trial and execution of Henry Joy McCracken.